Appears to be time, so I will call the meeting to order. Two of the commissioners are absent this morning. One's out of the country. The other had a meeting in Chicago this morning, so we have a quorum of the three of us. I would like a motion to approve the minutes of the 12/13/15 regular commission meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
It's going to be one of those mornings, isn't it? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Introduction of Patrol Officer Joshua Larson, who I swear was at my house.
Yeah, good morning. I'd like to introduce you to Josh Larson, if you want to stand up, Josh. Josh began employment with us just before Christmas, and he comes to us, he's been in Marshfield for nearly 5 years, comes to us from Eau Claire, originally, that's his hometown. But he's excited to be here. We're excited to have him, and I look for your official approval for his appointment as police officer.
We need to have a motion and a vote on that, do we? Do we?
He's already hired.
Well, we could take care of that part, too.
Yes.
Motion to approve the hiring of Josh.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll
Do I have a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Any opposition to the motion?
Roll call.
Roll call. I gotta have a roll call. Gershman.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Keough, yes. Motion carries.
Congratulations, Sean.
I got a comment. Huh?
Thank you.
And you're welcome at my house anytime.
I'll remember it next time.
You're liable to be there next time. Okay. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the police department bills.
All right, what you have in front of you is two sets of bills, both signed by Commissioner Myers, one on the 2nd of December, one on the 17th of December. A couple things I'll bring to your attention on 5C. We had purchased a power brush, a walk-behind power brush, which is similar to a snow blower, something our custodian has been requesting for probably 4 years now, and they've always been, the price point has always been a little bit too high to justify. We were able to find one locally that was slightly used for less than 50% of what the retail price would be. So we made that purchase in December, along with there's some camera equipment that you'll see on page 5D that we purchased through a budget resolution. 5H, there's a speed board, one of our speed boards that you see around town. We purchased a third one. The money that we received from the sale of our speed trailer, we had sold that to Nakusa PD. It was pretty much what we received $4,000. This cost us $4,300, so it was minimal investment for that third speed board that we received a lot of great input from. And then on 5K is the purchase for our the official, I guess, purchase of K9 Steffi, which purchased her from Indiana and also allowed our newest K9 officer, Chris Haas, to train with her for 6 weeks down in Denver, Indiana. So I would be happy to entertain any questions and ask for your approval on that.
Questions?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the police department bills. Roll call. Gershman.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Keough, yes. Motion carries. Approval of the fire department bills. Chief?
Yes, you have two sets of bills in front of you. Both of them were signed by Commissioner Keough. There's nothing to bring to your attention in there, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, and I ask for your approval.
I'll move to
Can I have a
approve.
pen? No comments or questions for the chief? It's a roll call vote. Gershman?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Keough, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Police department activities, training reports and correspondence packet.
Yes, not too busy of a month, but it's always whenever on paper that doesn't look busy. I think we still have a lot of things we're doing that don't necessarily make this activity report. A couple of things to bring to your attention. On the 17th of December, we hosted Leadership Marshfield at the police department in the second half of the day. I believe the first half of the day was here at the FD. Was successful. We received good reviews and good input from those that attended in reference to our presenters. Also on the 17th was another installment of a Citizens Academy that we're doing at the high school. We had started doing a Student Citizens Academy just before Thanksgiving, and the purpose of that was to assist with the criminal justice classes at Marshfield High School and maybe do some early recruitment for those that are maybe interested in the law enforcement profession and maybe didn't know it. Oftentimes, the classroom portion of the criminal justice class is pretty much taught out of a textbook or taught out of current events. Well, we thought, in speaking with the instructors at the high school, we thought that having a Citizens Academy similar to what we do for the community, but focused more at the high school level and condensed so that each 3-hour class that we were normally having at the police department in the spring was condensed to a 45-minute class for those high schoolers. But we've received great reviews from that. I believe we have probation and parole is going to be presenting there today, and the final session will be this coming Tuesday, where I'll be there to answer any questions and to talk about how you get into the educational components, kind of post-high school, and what we look for when we're hiring an individual and talking about character and integrity and such. So we received a lot of good information from that, a lot of great feedback, and we're planning already for second semester this spring to do it again at senior high. The last thing I'll mention is as you page through here on 7D, 7E, 7F, there's a couple donations to our canine fund, and where those originated from was Sam Fox, who is one of our police officers here, had orchestrated the thought of kind of giving back to the community from the Marshfield Professional Police Association standpoint. The MPPA is a not-for-profit organization comprised of the police officers of the city of Marshfield who pay dues, and those dues are then turned back to the city in the forms of donations to whether it's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, pretty much anyone who solicits some sort of donation for an activity or an event or for sustainability. We try to give back to the community. We'll often, we sell our garbage bags, and any profits that we make from that, we turn back and give to the community. We hold those concerts where we've often held them at the high school, and it's just a benefit concert. It'll be a Shania Twain look-alike or a Beatles look-alike group. And any proceeds that we get from that, we then turn back and give to the community. Well, we thought, Sam thought that this would be a great opportunity to give back around the holidays. So there was 20 Christmas cards that we handed out to random individuals on traffic stops, thanking them for the support of the Marshfield Police Department with a $50 bill inside of each one. So we gave back $1,000 to random people in the community, total and all. And many of those wanted to then give that back in some way, shape, or form to the community, to the police department, what have you. So some of them just donated their money back in the form of a check or whatever, and to our canine unit. Some were very grateful. I've seen some posts out on Facebook saying how the timing of somebody receiving this card couldn't have been better because of the bad situation they were going through. So I think it was just a really good public relations opportunity that Sam orchestrated, and I give him the kudos and would give him the opportunity to maybe say a few words if he had any.
I really don't. I guess I kind of just mirror what Rick said. I mean, it was a real good way to get back in touch with the community, and with the MPPA, we're constantly looking for, you know, different ways to donate money. I mean, we give to tons of different children's sporting events and stuff like that. And this is just another way that we kind of thought of to give back to the community and work on some public relations, knowing that not all contacts with cops, whether it's on a traffic stop or whatever it may be, has to be bad. And you know, I think the few faces that we did see when people actually opened their cards while we were there, it was, you know, they were truly grateful and shocked, I guess. So it's pretty cool to see.
Very creative idea, I think. Is this something you do every year, or you can?
This was the first year.
Okay.
Was there anything in the newspaper about doing this?
There wasn't. We didn't want to, I guess, we weren't doing it for publicity standpoint. We just kind of did it, and if somebody wrote something out there, I guess we would acknowledge it. Like I said, there was a couple notifications out there by, through Facebook by individuals who received it, and word spread a little bit that way, but we had discussed that, and it wasn't necessarily our goal to pat ourselves on the back for doing this. We just wanted it to, if it was a good deed done silently, the association was happy with that, and I let them kind of run that aspect. But with, normally we don't get 4 or 5 donations to the K-9 unit in a month, and when we did, I thought that justified maybe a little explanation.
That's fine, thank you.
Otherwise, I look for your approval on those activities and correspondence.
We'll approve and place on file. Yeah. Crime reports. Anything in the crime reports that are worth noting this month?
Nothing. What I did for this set of crime reports was, you had the year in full in front of you. January 1st through December 31st of 14 compared with 15. Many of our numbers were close to where they were last year. A couple were higher. I believe we had close to, let me find it here, close to 40 to 50 more drunk driving arrests than we did the previous year. That could be attributed to many things. Some younger officers maybe who are a little more active in traffic enforcement. It could be staffing. It's often, unless, if we come across a drunk driver, often it's reactionary. If staffing levels are low, so it's often complaint driven or us coming into contact with somebody because of an accident when our staffing levels are low. Since we've had some more recent hires and we've been able to bring our staffing levels back up to normal, that allows for some more self-initiated activities and some additional traffic enforcement throughout the evening, when normally if our staffing levels were low, we'd just be responding to calls and wouldn't have a lot of time for a lot of that self-initiated activity. So that could be one of the reasons why the numbers were a little bit higher when it comes to some of the traffic enforcement. We also received a traffic grant through Department of Transportation, and that allowed for us to have some overtime hours out there for OWI enforcement and traffic enforcement. So some of those arrests could have come from those grant hours that we had received from the state. Otherwise, in all, the numbers are pretty much in line to where they were last year. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have on those crime report numbers.
Questions? Comment and a question from me. When you began gathering data using the new software, one of the things was it might give you an opportunity to look at how staffing needs distributed across a day or a week or even a month. Have there been any changes as a consequence of the data you've been able to collect?
Not yet. It's something that we're always looking at. One of the nice, I guess, features of the software we use is the heat charts. And what the heat charts do is kind of shows our call volume based on the time of day of the week, and when staffing is most necessary. to be kept at a certain level. I guess I'd take that back. With some of those numbers, we've been able to say, okay, based on the numbers, it's not a good idea to maybe drop down below what we've considered our minimum staffing, which is 4 officers with a command officer. There's been times where circumstances have caused us to have to drop down to 3 officers with a command officer. And although those aren't ideal, sometimes we have somebody goes home sick and it's 2 a.m, we may just go with 3 officers and a command officer from 2 a.m. till 6 a.m. until the next shift comes in, assuming that, hoping that calls stay in line with what history has shown. Obviously, we can't predict what the community is going to do and where our needs are going to be called to. But with that, I believe it has helped our sergeants and our lead officers with that decision-making as to whether or not it's okay to maybe send somebody home a little early if they have personal plans later that day. So it's something that's continually monitored, and I think it's in the back of their mind as it relates to additional personnel and staffing for the good of the city. That's another aspect of the heat charts, which we're always continually looking at and seeing if we need to have a power shift individual or a swing shift individual, what those time allocations would be and when would be a good time. I know some of the staffing, some of the numbers we've looked at and the calls for service is helped us assign some of the timeframes for our grants, so that we have an extra officer out there working the grants. But if we needed to pull that officer off of a grant to assist with calls for service, that's something that we could always do. So I know that Lieutenant Zeps has been monitoring that with scheduling some of the grant hours. So yeah, I guess it has been beneficial to us.
Yeah, I remember, the initial discussion was that it might allow for reallocation of existing resources to be used more effectively. And I
Yeah,
just
we're
wondering
continually
whether-
looking at that and trying to use those resources to the best of our ability. That'll benefit the city.
Second comment, when you talk about crime reports, it could be that I'm misjudging, but it seems to me that this is, have you passed these along to the newspaper, for example?
We did initially. They would often request it early on. We started sending them and it wasn't being printed all the time, so discussions were going to happen as to maybe sending them quarterly reports as opposed to weekly reports, and they had more of an interest in maybe that aspect, but
End of the year reports might be a good alternative.
end of the year reports, absolutely.
All
There's
right.
also a way that we can send out mapping to them, and that's something I'm trying to tackle in 2016, is send out mapping through social media that they can then share with their social media and actually see the calls for service on a map of the city of Marshfield, see the where traffic accidents are most likely to happen or where we're most responding to traffic accidents, and just be able to put those in more of a visual, I guess visually appealing platform as opposed to just numbers.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Any other comments or questions, or can we go on in the agenda? Okay, the next item is the rescue vehicle update. Chief, I think this is your opportunity again.
Yes, I think I'm talking too much today, but no comment, Andy, please.
Well, on the topic that's at hand, you can keep your comments to a minimum.
The Marshfield Police Department has been notified that there is a armored rescue vehicle that could be acquired sometime in 2016. I've brought Detective Kevin Hamill with. He is kind of our resident expert with the 1033 program and the acquisition of such a vehicle. He's done a lot of research on this vehicle, and he drafted the materials you have in front of you. In a nutshell, this is a military surplus vehicle which would be civilianized, I guess, so to speak, would allow law enforcement, not just SWAT operations, but law enforcement to use such a vehicle in emergencies. This is not an assault vehicle. This is a rescue vehicle. This is a vehicle that would be able to extract people who are barricaded in their residences because of a situation, or that are maybe need to be evacuated out of certain residences. This is a vehicle that could act as a shield if there was active fire happening upon citizens or law enforcement officers. This vehicle stops rifle rounds. It's armored. It stops rounds that are ballistic protection that we wear. Does not stop. Many of the rifle rounds that are sold to the general public and many of the weapons that are owned by the general public would not penetrate this, could penetrate what we wear. Just something to think of. I've been asked, is this a need or a want? In my mind, it's a need, because when we need it, we don't want it. We don't want it to be an hour away, because if we have situations that are dangerous and that involve firearms, are very fluent and are, again, out of our control, and to extract citizens out of a hostile situation without the protections that this vehicle could provide, at the very inexpensive cost that this vehicle is, I think would be a mistake to not go ahead and accept this type of vehicle. The costs are minimal, but I think it is something that, since it's been offered to us, I think that it is in the city's best interest to accept this and take ownership of this. And I'll turn the floor over to Kevin and have him add any additional comments that he feels are appropriate.
Yeah, definitely. It's something I've been on the police department for 19 years now, and I can count on one hand at least the number of times that I feel as though we could have used a vehicle like this to either extract people out of dangerous situations, whether it might be some sort of an improvised explosive device that is supposed that might be sitting on a sidewalk or in an area where we need to get people and officers out of that area safely in case that device may go off. And it always was not a actual explosive device, but a possible device. So we're taking all our safety precautions as we need to. Also with any active shooter situations or possible armed gunmen or barricaded suspects. In the 19 years I've been here, there's been a handful of times that I can recall that it would have been a nice piece of equipment to bring in and help control that situation by removing suspects, to pull victims out of the suspect's area and be able to get them to safety. Neighbors of people that are in a situation, close proximity situations as well, where we can pull up and get them out of those areas as well. It does have 36 inches of clearance as well, so in heavy drifted areas, high water areas, things such as that as well. Natural disasters, tornadoes, flooding, heavy snowstorms, it could be used definitely in that as well. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle and can traverse all kinds of land and water. So definitely a lot of research we've been doing for 2.5 years. We've been on the list, and I've been working little by little to kind of build my knowledge by contacting other agencies that do acquire them, talk to them about maintenance, costs associated with it, what they've been using it for, all different answers that have been coming up over the last year, over the last 2 years. And ever since July is the last Police and Fire Commission where this was discussed, I've been putting even more work into it as well.
Comments from the commission?
I don't have any additional questions. I just appreciate the effort that you put into doing a deep evaluation of whether the community wants it. And initially, I was a little hesitant to think that we would need this, but after talking to the chief and also just even taking a look at local news reports on neighboring counties, it's been very advantageous for them. In Taylor County wasn't too long ago that they rolled theirs out. It was officer safety issue, and that really did make a big difference. So I think in terms of the cost to the community, in terms of the fact that we can use this vehicle for multiple uses, and the cost to acquire it and maintain it, I'm completely comfortable with us accepting it.
Yeah, I'm glad we've had some time to think about it, because we knew the day was coming when you're gonna ask this question, and I've had an opportunity too to kind of keep my ear to the rail and follow what's been going on in other places, and, you know, there's always that aspect of, some people won't appreciate what the value of it is. But coming from people who work in your field every day, making a recommendation like you do, I put a lot more value in that than I do speculation and exaggeration and whatever else that they can come up with. Hopefully, I mean, if we proceed this way, hopefully the public won't probably ever have to see the vehicle. From what you've mentioned that it would be used for, it'd be a blessing for the person who's gonna be extracted or assisted. And I think at that point in time, it would pretty much drown out any speculative hesitation by the public that we possess one of these vehicles. So I think it'd be a good move. We'll deal with the public later, in good or bad, so.
Well, I talked to Commissioner Franklin yesterday a couple of times, and would like, he's not here to vote, of course, but I'd like to share his thinking as I understood it. One is he has concern about the maintenance of the vehicle. You know, that's his area, and so he expressed his reservations about that. And in terms of actually acquiring it, I think he feels, and this reflects my own feeling, I wish we didn't need the thing. I truly don't. But I would hate not to support it if we did need it. I'd hate to be the one to say no to it, and then a week from now find that we should have had one and we did not. I've not talked with Commissioner Miller. I don't know what his point of view is. And again, he is not here to vote, so it's going to be the commission as it stands today, as it sits today. Based on the draft of the letter that you prepared, item 13 is a requirement that the local governing body affirm the request for the vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct. The local police and fire commission that governs the police department
Yeah.
for approval for certain controlled equipment, which this would fall under.
Okay. That means we need a vote, and I think this is significant enough. Obviously, we should have a roll call vote. Is everyone prepared? A motion
Yeah, I'll make the motion,
to acquire the vehicle.
acquire the vehicle, and accept it. Yep.
Need a second to it?
Second, but I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there an urgency in this, or could we do it when we have a full commission?
I can speak on that. They require 30 days before approval within 30 days of acquiring it. From my understanding, from what I've been communicating back and forth with the Wisconsin Emergency Management, Caitlin Schneider, who's in charge of the program, January 11th, next Monday, they're gonna start allocating them to law enforcement agencies on the national priority list at 5 MRAPs per day, armored rescue vehicles per day. And then once they start rolling, they're gonna be doing up to 10 to 15 a day. So potentially we can be looking at February, March, when we get our calls saying that, you know, you need to arrange for shipping and get it out of here. So it is kind of I'd hate to get pushed to the bottom of the list again. There's over 700 people, agencies still on the list, and we worked our way up to 231 here in the 2.5 years that we've been on the list. So there is not a little bit of a time crunch, and that's why we bring it forward here today to get approval on this.
Mike, is that a
Yeah,
satisfactory response?
that's fine. I just,
And are you willing to second the motion to?
I'd second it.
Yeah, okay.
Just wanted to give them an opportunity if they wanted to, but I think we have to move forward with it.
Okay. So I'll call a question. All in favor of the motion to acquire the vehicle? Gershman?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Keo, yes. The motion carries. Move forward. And Sergeant, I really do appreciate all your work with this.
Well done on the draft and the research and all
Yeah.
the supporting documents.
Yeah.
It was very well done. Thank you.
It makes the decision not easier, but informed, if you like. So thank you. EPA update. You once again.
Yes,
Chief, you're a busy devil.
thank you. Actually don't have a whole lot to update on this, other than knowing, I guess, sharing that the human resource manager and assistant to the city administrator is going to be soliciting information and potentially bids on acquiring a EAP program citywide. In the interim, there's a verbal agreement, I guess, with Real Living out of Menominee, Wisconsin, to where if we ever need services, debriefing services, or assistance with an individual who is in crisis, we can use them on a contractual basis and reach out to them for a crisis debrief after an incident, or for assisting an individual should we need those services, pretty much on a case-by-case basis until something is formalized for the city, which they are hoping to formalize sometime in June, I was told, ideally to take place July 1. But that's all I have, I guess, for an update on the EAP, citywide EAP program.
No, that's helpful, appreciate it. Any questions? Okay. Well, the fire chief can get in here now. Bob?
Okay, just a few items to bring to your attention in our packet. As Rick alluded to, we did host the morning session of the Public Safety Day for Leadership in Marshfield. And actually, we also got some very, very good reviews from that, and it was a great opportunity for us to present and demonstrate and educate future and current leaders of the citizens of Marshfield. So I think that's a great opportunity. It's a great program. If you look at 11K, we're beginning our strategic planning process with individual meetings with each of the shifts, bring forward their ideas, working toward that, and that will continue on over the next few months. This is also the main kickoff of our accreditation evaluation. And so I think you also got a copy of something for that accreditation process that Scott handed out. I don't know if there's anything you want to say about that?
Just at last month's meeting, it was requested to show samples of what we're going through, the different types of questions. What you have is 6 pages of the 84 pages that we have to go through. And then once those checklists are completed, then we have to write documentation based on our findings and where we're going, how we're going to get there, type of thing. These assignments were handed out to all of the officers within the fire department at this past officer meeting. Everybody has their packet, and once our strategic planning is done, then we're going to move into the accreditation process itself. Into the individual.
Scott, thank you. I think this kind of thing helps the commission understand the process that you're going through.
Okay, page 11T, we received a nice thank you letter from the Mueller family about ambulance response to their husband and father, so that was very nice of them. And page 11V is a letter from the Kiwanis Club for their Kiwanis Enormous Equipment Playground, their KEEP program, which we participated in every year, and that seems to be very, very well received. I'll answer any questions anybody has.
Questions? Hearing none? It's a good report. Next item on the agenda is to approve the hiring of new firefighter paramedic Paul Takis. I wondered how it was pronounced.
Yes. At least that's the way I remember him pronouncing it when he showed up. So,
Okay.
I have offered the position of firefighter paramedic to Paul Takis, and he has agreed to accept that, and now I'm bringing that forward to you. He is a licensed paramedic and state certified firefighter 1 and 2. He received his training through North Central Technical College, and he's currently working as a paramedic at Ministry Sacred Heart up in Tomahawk, and advanced EMT firefighter for the Rothschild Fire Department. If you approve, he will be starting on January 18th, and I do seek that approval.
He's going between Tomahawk and Rothschild.
Yes. He's looking to consolidate everything into one. He's very much interested in the,
I can understand.
yeah. Yeah, I think one commute versus 2 is probably better.
Yeah, that's a long run. So we need a motion to hire the new firefighter, Paul Takis.
Approve.
I'll
Mayor.
second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any comments or questions of the chief? We have a roll call. Gershman?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Keo, yes. Motion carries.
And with that approval, I will have him here for your next meeting for his badges and oath of office.
That sounds fine. Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Is there any other business to bring before the commission? Yes, sir.
I would just like to invite, I guess, everyone in the room here to take a tour of our, we had acquired, last year, we had acquired an ambulance, which we converted to our special response vehicle. Also a command post. It's a mobile command post that could be used out in the community. It replaces a vehicle that was roughly 35 years old and in dire need of replacement. But after the conclusion of this meeting, I invite everyone to take a walk through.
You've got it in the back?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's in one of those drive
All right, good, thank you. Any other business? Hearing none, I'll say that we are adjourned. And thank you, everyone.